Powerlifting is stupid, or at least that's what I used to think. See, I used to be a fat kid here, and here. And then I got really skinny here, and here. It got to the point where I developed a really bad relationship with food. We won't get into that in this video, but we'll get into it in the future. I went from 268 pounds at my heaviest to 162 pounds at my lowest. In both cases of the extremes, I was very dissatisfied with my body. In both cases of the extremes, I was miserable. At my heaviest, I didn't care about school, my future, my health. I had no motivation. Then I began going to the gym. I honestly have no idea why. I chalk it up to another way to procrastinate or because of anime, but for some reason I just started going to the gym. I developed a very simple goal to achieve initially, and that was to run a mile without stopping. So this was in 2016 when I was a sophomore going into my junior year of high school. The last time I had run a mile was in middle school, which it took me 16 minutes to do. And yes, I did stop multiple times. It took me a few months to accomplish this goal, but eventually I did. Not without the months in between having to stop a few times to walk. Get about halfway and have to walk for about 5 minutes and then finish the mile. I started lifting weights the same time I started trying to accomplish that first goal. It was really just things I saw on TV, movies, anything really basic. So think bench press, dumbbell curl. Tried doing pull-ups, that really didn't work, but those were the movements I would do every day. I didn't start squatting until probably a few months afterwards. I never started deadlifting until I got to college. So fun fact, the biggest reason I didn't hit legs initially was because I thought I was hitting legs by running. I can now see how big of a mistake that truly was. When I first started, I didn't care about my diet, any type of exercise technique, or recovery. I just started going. I began with 3 days a week. By the time I reached freshman year of college, I was going 6 days a week. When I entered freshman year of college, that's when I hit my lowest weight, and also probably one of the lowest times in my life. I was weighing 162 pounds, and if you know how tall I am and how I look, you would understand why that is significantly way too little weight for me to be at. Around the time freshman year of college started, I began watching YouTube channels like Jeff Nippard, Jeremy Ether, and a couple others. This gave me a very basic understanding of strength exercises and eventually what led me to major in kinesiology. But being at such a light weight, my body started falling apart. My knees felt like they were pulling themselves apart. My hips felt like they were just crumbling every time I would try to go on a run. It was difficult for me to run 2.5 miles. Every weight in the gym felt like an immovable object. The moment I realized I had a very unhealthy relationship with food was when I tried to Google 0-calorie protein. For those of you who don't know, there's 3 macronutrients: protein, fat, and carbs. Each of them contain calories. So protein per gram has 4 calories, carbs per gram have 4 calories, and then fat per gram has 9 calories. So this is when I realized the importance of calories and that I needed to at least intake a little bit more of them if I wanted to keep sustaining my ability to run and also lift weights. This is when I started a quote-unquote bulk. I probably just started eating a little closer to my base maintenance calories, but I also pulled back on my running and I eventually made my way up to a big ol' 180. I wasn't looking too much different, but my ability to run after a few months had increased. I was able to run 5Ks every day with no pain. I was able to lift and not be absolutely exhausted after 30 minutes. This was finally able to occur due to my body having the resources to recover and grow. Now that I look back on it, during this time I thought I was one of the most aesthetic looking people on campus. I thought I was going to go into bodybuilding because that was the majority of content I was consuming at that time. During this time, I would also be at the gym the same time a certain group of people would be at the gym. People who were lifting a lot of weight and doing a few amount of reps and eating in between sets, taking forever on the squat racks, the benches, and on machines. And I was like, what in the world are they doing? I was like, they're obnoxious. They're just trying to lift a lot of weight for no reason. I thought to myself, what was the purpose of benching over 225, squatting over 315, and what in the world was worth the risk of deadlifting? I stayed around this weight for a couple of years. running and training almost like a bodybuilder, and then COVID hit. Gyms closed down, we had to go home from school, and so I had no options but to stop lifting. So after a couple months, the local gym in my hometown opened up, and I was finally able to start lifting again. I was still on the misguided path of trying to be a bodybuilder. Not saying that bodybuilding is bad, it just is not what I feel like I'm meant for. Enter Russell Orhe, better known as Russell. Hate him or love him, you can't argue that he's one of the best powerlifters in the history of the sport. And he is truly the person that led me towards the sport of powerlifting. First video of Russ's that I ever saw was a technique video on how to deadlift. I was trying to start really deadlifting for the first time, and I wanted to make sure I was doing it correctly, and so I just stumbled upon one of his videos, which helped me find the sport of powerlifting. See, when I become obsessed with something, it does one or two things. It dies down after a week or two, or it sticks for a very, very long time. If you look at it like this, I'd been working out for 5 years. It had been 2016 to 2021. I watched a lot of Russ's meet and training videos along with a bunch of others, and I really just kept diving deeper and deeper into the sport of powerlifting. Given that this was 2021 and we still truly didn't understand COVID at the time, I felt worried about signing up for a meet. I worried, what happens if it gets canceled? What happens if everything gets shut down and I can't practice for it? Those were truly just excuses because I was afraid to take the jump. I wasn't ready to train hard or be focused or give training my all. I was very content with just working out. But deep down, I knew I definitely wanted something more. From 2021 to the fall of 2023, I began to eat more and power build. I wanted to focus on the big three lifts, so that being squat, bench, and deadlift, but I still wanted to train a lot like a bodybuilder. I really loved chasing bigger and bigger numbers. My goals at this time were to bench 315, squat 315, and deadlift 405. And I achieved those all within a few months of each other. But I just kept setting arbitrary numbers, making bigger and bigger numbers up, and not training properly. Every session I would go in and I would try to at least hit within 90% of my 1 rep max for one of those big three lifts. So then out of the blue, in the spring of 2023, during my last semester of grad school, I decided it was time. After I passed my certification and finished grad school, I would compete in a powerlifting meet. Those days came, I passed my exam, I graduated, and I realized I had no idea how to prepare for a meet. I felt like I had done a decent job working out, but I never really truly had an idea of how training worked. There are a ton of guides and videos explaining how to train for a powerlifting meet and how to handle yourself, but I felt like I would still have no idea truly what to do on a meet day. If you know me, I'm an anxious person, and I feel like having someone to help take a load off on meet day throughout the prep of training would be a big benefit. So I decided to get a coach. I knew I wanted someone that had coached others that have been on the platform, but then also someone who had been underneath the bar on the platform themselves. We set some goals, picked a meet, and I'm currently 5 weeks out tomorrow. Since late in the fall of 2023, I've changed in the gym. I feel like my focus is better. I'm there not to work out anymore, I'm there to train. My technique has become more refined, I've become more patient, and due to that patience, I've become stronger. Maybe I'm taking it too serious for a first time meet, and especially one that's a local meet, but I know that will benefit me in the future when it comes to bigger meets and bigger competitions. Plus, I'm just excited. It's like, I've trained for this thing for a pretty good bit now, and it's about to end. We're about to get to meet day. And it's insane to think about, like, it's right around the corner and it's time for me to give it my all. So I know a few of you are probably asking, what's the goal? What's the purpose? My ultimate goal is to get to nationals. I know I'm nowhere near those top level people right now. And I know it's going to take time, dedication, and patience. And I'm not anybody special. I haven't made any astronomical progress. If you look at my lifts, I'm very ordinary. I don't scream, I don't yell, I don't get super hyped. I go in and I do what I need to do. And I want to prove that just being ordinary can get you to the top. I want to prove that I belong there. This is just getting started and we're nowhere near the finish line, but it's on to the next step. As always, I love you. Bye.
don't know if she can stand anymore. I don't know if she can stand anymore. She doesn't think I'm the man anymore. No, she doesn't